See a beautiful spider webs? Come on in. I'll show you around. It's the Forest of Dreams.
Okay. Now we are going to move on to our featured reader of this evening. And as an introduction, which is called A Short Biography of Time Spent Together. Once upon a time, in the small town of Winlaw, William Brown accidentally entered into a portal and landed in Brett's mind.
He didn't come from my head, though. He entered into it from somewhere else. Fungi land, he said.
Like he came from a portal?
For over 20 years, they have lived and worked together all over Canada, creating 21 poetry chapbooks, 7 short novels of fiction, and a book of nonfiction, covering their year in a life of a Camp Hill community. Not regular to only the printed page, the duo have gone on numerous poetic tours through Vancouver Island and the Kootenays, performed at hundreds of open mics and spoken word events, including this past summer at Salt Spring Island's Salt Fest.
You know, people think, oh, William Brown walking around town sometimes, you know, you see the big hair, you see the hobo look and everything, you get a little intimidated. You see the grills, the grills in the teeth, and you see O.J. Simpson, you get a little intimidated about O.J. And you say, whoa, you know, why is he so aggro sometimes? Why is he so opinionated? Why does he have such a chip on his shoulder? And I say, you know what? Matter of fact, I do have a chip on my shoulder. Dill pickle chip. It's hard to eat a chip with these teeth in. Anyways,
and are regular and featured poets at the Salt Spring Island Poetry Night. William Brown is currently on vacation in his Teton Garden in his hometown of Fungiland and can be reached by ESP. Brett lives in a forest of dreams on Salt Spring Island with his wife and 2 daughters and can sometimes be reached by ESP, but mostly by phone or email. Please join me in welcoming Brett versus William Brown.
Oh, hi everybody. It's nice to be here tonight. I just had some pizza for dinner. This guy's called Pizza Face. It's funny listening to that intro because that's just it's tough for me to write something straight, and so it's interesting to do something like that. It's tough for me to do that as Brett, but tonight's loose concept is Brett. You know, usually I'm hiding behind my good friend William Brown, and but he's not here. He's up in Fungi Land. Maybe he's listening. My good friend. We met a long time ago, maybe 20 years ago, but on a mushroom trip in the West Kootenays about 8 years ago. He fully entered into my mind as an entity, and you know, it's been some good times with that and some bad times. We've had some disagreements and whatnot, but for the most part, we've had a lot of really good artistic collaborations together. A lot of poetry and a lot of collage and a lot of movies and all that kind of stuff. So we're on good terms right now. He's just taking a little break right now. But if he's out there, what's up, Willie B? Yeah, I'm going to read some poems tonight. I'm going to pull back the curtain and be Brett tonight. Be my regular self, which is this right here. This is Brett. Little different eye. I got a little magnifying glass there. That's not my real left eye, but for the most part. It's funny in this picture I got a little spinach in my teeth. I don't know if you can see that, but a little spinach in there. Got to get that out there. But I got all my friends here tonight too. This is my good friend Little Susie. She's been in a lot of movies with me. This is my good friend Mr. Hamsterhead. He's always up for a good time. And here on Salt Spring, William Brown and I have been very busy. We've collaborated with a lot of people, not just with poems, but in movies. My good friends Johnny Angel here, and my good friend Space. We made a bunch of movies together called Revenge of the Freak. You can find those on YouTube. There's 3 of them. And yeah, we've been making homemade movies and homemade books. OHME, homemade books. It's a combination. Ohm is a combination of Om, because I am a pendulum having a human experience, and I stay at home a lot. So it's a combination of those two together is the Om. And that's homemade books. I make my poetry books, my nonfiction books, and my fiction books. I make them. I usually hand type them, put them together, photocopy them, and then hand them out to friends, leave them around town, whatnot. I've been doing that for a long time now. And I like to do that. I try to make it pretty cost effective. Like a poetry book might cost me 50 cents or so to make. That gives me the freedom to just, put them around town and whatnot, anonymously for the most part. And, it gives people a chance like that don't have access to a lot of money to give them some free art. And I enjoy that process of, I've never really been too interested in trying to get my stuff published. I'm not against that or anything. That kind of collaboration hasn't come forth, and I haven't really been ambitious in terms of that. I like what I do. It's very freeing. I can make whatever I want and put it out there. And, my artistic freedom is very important to me on many levels. And to bring in money or like a business aspect into that, I'm very leery of that, and that might ruin my freedom, so to speak. And I have, artistic freedom is one of the truest, purest freedoms I have. So to lose that, it would be very, very sad for me. But anyway, so we're here. We're on Salt Spring Island. It's been a beautiful day today. Because this is supposed to be more about Brett and Brett's life and Brett's poems. To tell you the truth, I've gotten lost in this alter ego of mine, William Brown, who I created, although he liked to say that he created me. He likes to use my name as an acronym, BRETT, as a beautifully rendered everyday training target. I think William Brown might be a double agent. That might cause some concern out there for people, but we'll look into this in the future and see if I can expose him. And I want to finish off with a Brett poem, and this Brett poem is pretty close to my life right now, and I'm going to read, usually a lot of the Brett poems come with a bunch of footnotes, so I'm going to see if I can read the poem and the footnotes at the same time and see how that goes. Good morning. So I live in a yurt on Salt Spring Island. I have a wife, a 9-year-old, and a 3-year-old. We live in a yurt, partly by choice and partly by circumstance. If you don't know what a yurt is, it's basically a really big round tent. Check the time, 7 a.m. Tired, but my kids are awake. Both my kids were born in a yurt. My eldest was born in a yurt in Winlaw, which is in the West Kootenays, and my youngest was born a year and a half ago, or 3.5 years ago, here on Salt Spring. My daughter used to wake up crying a lot during the night, and that's not conducive to getting a good night's sleep under any ministry's standards. Get up, cold, Start the fire. Salt Spring can be pretty mild during the winter with the occasional cold snap, which means I can let the fire go out during the night, but if I do let it go, then in the morning it's pretty chilly, and so that's one of the things I focus on. I start the fire and I daytime clothes as pajamas. That's an old joke, an old poem that we just heard. So I'm ready to go out to let the chickens out. We have 7 chickens right now. Breakfast. It's forest school today. Putting the act in activist, my wife created her own school. It's in the forest behind the yurt and combines Waldorf teachings with nature play. So I prepare lunches, make a coffee, hug my daughter, kiss my wife, check my email, check the weather. The pros of yurt life is that you are close to nature, and the cons are that you are close to nature. We live in a forest surrounded by trees, which means that windstorms can cause me some anxiety. Chop some wood. We go through approximately 2 to 3 cords of wood a year. Check the time, 10 a.m. Feed the rabbits. We have 3 rabbits right now, blackberry, clover, and maple. Grab the eggs from the coop, do the dishes. My wife and older daughter leave for forest school, and sometimes my other daughter leaves too, but sometimes she stays with me. So I make sure she's fed and diapered and changed and read books to her like Goodnight Moon and Hungry Caterpillar, and sometimes she falls asleep and luckily I have my book next to me, which I love to read. But I fall asleep too. She wakes up, I wake up, we snuggle. Not too cold or rainy, so we go outside, go for a bike ride. Back inside. Put in the act and activist part 2. There's a housing crisis on Salt Spring. There's no rentals and real estate has gotten out of reach for most families. So we came up with our own solution. We bought a yurt and moved on to a friend's land, and now we live on our own land. We pay a little bit to live on the land. We pay a little bit, which allows us not to have to work a lot. This means we can be home and be with our kids more. Check the time, noon. Empty the garbage, empty the toilets, change the propane, lunch. Keep the wood stove going. Time for another nap. Read, wake up, feed, diaper, play, dance, giggle, and snuggle. It's funny, but I don't really consider myself a back-to-the-lander, but here I've lived semi-off-grid in a yurt for almost 7 years. I've really had to tone down the wanderer in me. Oh, how I love to drop everything and follow the Grateful Dead. Not really. Oh, how I love to chase rainbows until the sun went down. But that's not conducive to being a very present father or a husband. Check the time, 3 p.m. Forest school is over. Family together, how the day went, coffee and treats. Bath time, music, laughter, dinner time, quiet time, kids to bed, chickens to bed. Check the email, read. Write this poem, yawn, brush my teeth, time for bed, good night. So that's a little glimpse into, that was written a few years ago, but that's pretty much how I'm still living, except I'm living on my own land, and still in the yurt, and still doing pretty much all that's in the poem there. And that's about all I got. That's the life of Brett and William Brown.
Well, thank you very much, Brett and William Brown, for that reading.
Done. No egg. Can you say goodbye?
Bye.
Bye.